Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the Hindu news analysis for 20th July 2026. Now, before I start, do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Is the audio and video correct? Done. Thanks a lot. Let's start. So, in today's session, I've taken a total of around 14 to 15 articles. And before you say, sir, you're saying 14 to 15, but only 12 are visible in the slide, don't worry. There are certain surprises, different articles from different newspapers. We'll have a detailed discussion. This is being done in order to ensure that the discussion will be comprehensive, helping you answer the questions in the prelims as well as the mains examination. If you're liking this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you yet to join the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Before I start, here is a very important announcement. Those who are considering to enroll into courses to ace the civil services exams 2027 or 2028, right now the Unacademy IAS courses are available at a price of 22,999. Once you enroll, you'll get access to the live as well as recorded lectures, be it in English medium, Hindi medium, or bilingual. You'll get access to the prelims as well as mains test series, reading material, as well as mentorship services. Those interested in enrolling, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. And whatever is the price mentioned in the website, to get the discount, use the code IAS English. Let me start the discussion. First important article, the stark reality of missing jobs for India's Gen Z. These kind of terms, that is Gen Z, millennials, etc., are thrown very often in the newspapers, in the websites, etc. And in very recent times, there have been concerns regarding the protest at Jantar Mantar, where there is a large scale participation of Gen Z, and not just in India, around the world as well. Gen Z has been involved in, right, let's say overthrowing multiple governments. It is not happening in India, by the way. So, what are the important points here? There is one area where a lot of, right, let's say people are raising a concern that sufficient jobs are not available, especially for the youth that belong to the Gen Z population. Now, what do you mean by Gen Z here? Please understand, the Gen Z population essentially belongs to those people who are born between 1997 to 2012. Between 1997 to 2012. And those who are born before this, from 1981 to 1996, these are called as millennials. But what are the important points that we need to understand? Before I start discussing, there is a lot of data that has been dumped into this article. If you want to remember, you can try, but here is my point. Don't try to memorize every data point that you come across in the newspapers and even in the books. What are the important data points? Only those you need to remember. For example, overall literacy rate, right? Or for that matter, population rate or worker population rate, LFPR, or for that matter, unemployment rate in the last 2 years. These are certain macroeconomic indicators that you need to remember. So, some of the important data, of course, you don't have to remember all of it. Some of the important data from the article I've listed. Let me discuss in detail what are the points. Point number one, India houses one of the largest youth population in the world. India's overall population has crossed more than 140 crore, that is more than 1.4 billion. Of this, more than 371 million basically is categorized into youth population. This is one point. Point number two, all of us will go into education system. We will complete high school, enter into college, from the college to the graduation. From the graduation, a lot of us enter into, right, let's say employment, and some of us will enter into post graduation and then start searching for jobs. What has been the situation of employment for the Gen Z population? What has been the situation? According to the PLFS data, PLFS basically stands for Periodic Labor Force Survey. This is a survey which is published by NSO, This functions under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. The PLFS, please understand certain basic points here. Earlier was published for every quarter and was published for every year per annum. But starting January 2025, the reforms have been implemented by the MOSPI, and as a result of this, rather than publishing for a quarter, now we are publishing for month as well as for a quarter as well as for a year as well. And what is the logic behind it? Higher frequency, more the frequency of this particular jobs data is available, more relevant policies can be formulated by the government, realizing what is the situation in the labor market. Now, what are the important observations that have been seen? Point number one, according to the labor force survey, India has estimated 29.94 crore working age Gen Z individuals. Working age essentially means any population which is above 15 years of age. Above 15 years of age. So 29 crore people from the Gen Z are basically belonging to working age population. But the problem is, one, all the people are not getting the right quality of the jobs. Quality jobs. They are not able to get access to the quality jobs. What do I mean by the term quality jobs here? You enter into employment market. You are hired by a company. There is a guaranteed salary for you. There is a guaranteed progression over a period of time. That is, you are promoted. And there is a job safety. Whenever the jobs provide all these particular three features, these are called as quality jobs in a nutshell. But according to various data sets, and this is not just applicable to Gen Z, it is applicable to the overall labor market in India. We are creating number of jobs, but most of these particular jobs are informal in nature. Please understand. Most of these particular jobs are informal in nature. What you and me refer to as gig jobs. As gig jobs. So number of jobs are created, but sufficient number of quality jobs are not there. Most of these are informal or gig jobs. And the gig jobs do not have any kind of attribute in terms of, let's say, fixed salary or progression in the job, or for that matter, even the job security. So large chunk of youth population and generally in the overall labor market in India, they are getting the jobs, but these kind of jobs are informal in nature. This is one concern. Second important concern is, whenever an individual will enter into education system and they'll keep on progressing in the education system, that is high school to the college, college to graduation, graduation to the post graduation, what is expected? The expectation is, more the education that I receive, more degrees I will have. We will enter into graduation, post graduation, more stable jobs I'll be getting from the market. Everybody is okay? More the education that I receive, I'll get more stable jobs from the market. It will become so easy for me to move out of poverty. It will become very easy for me to get a good quality job with a good pay scale, etc., etc. In case of India, that is one of the another concern. That is another concern, and please understand, this is again not just applicable to Gen Z, it is applicable to overall employment market as well. For example, you must have seen in the news or at least in the YouTube shorts where certain person who has graduated, who is a, right, let's say degree holder, double degree holder, he will be doing a menial job. A lot of graduates will be applying for a government clerical jobs, mind you. Why is this happening? Because the argument generally is, more the education, more quality job you'll be able to get. That kind of a connection is not very strong in India. That's a second very important concern. Third very important concern, what about the female participation within the Gen Z itself? What about the female participation? Traditionally, what has been seen in case of India? The number of jobs are created. Most of the jobs will be, right, taken by male population. And most of the incomes or the salaries or the revenues will get accrued or concentrated within the male population. According to one survey, in India, if you basically dissect the incomes generated by male as well as female workers, almost 88 to 89% of the incomes are getting concentrated, which are earned by the male population, which essentially means participation of the female in the labor market is lower, even if they are participating the right kind of salary, or the salary based on equity is not being paid to the female participation. Now the concern is why the female workers are not participating in the labor market. And I hope you understand, although we say Gen Z population is right, youth population, it is driven by the technology, etc. The PLFS data shows entirely something else. What do I mean by this? Traditionally, what has been seen? Woman wants to participate in the labor market. The women are constrained by the fact that the household structure is created in India in such a way the household work has to be done by women. Correct? I'm pretty sure everybody in the class will agree with me. And most of you who are listening to the class, who will do the UPSC preparation, who will go to office, lot of times you must have seen. Again, I'm not saying it is the case of every household. In most of the households in India, because there is a patriarchal mindset, the household work, such as drinking water, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, taking care of the parents, it will be, right, basically be assumed as a work of woman. It is assumed as if it is the duty of only the woman in the household. And is it applicable only to the millennials? No, PLFS data says it is applicable even to a large chunk of Gen Z population. So to begin with, the participation of the labor market, especially from the female side, is constrained because of these kind of structural issues. What is another issue? Overall, in case of Gen Z population, there is a problem of having right skill sets. Having right skill sets. What do I mean by this? Let's say I will go to college, I will acquire skill sets, I will get the graduation degree, but that doesn't mean I will have the right educational qualification plus the right skill sets that are demanded by the market. There will generally be a gap between what is demanded in the market and what is there with the labor market, or what is there with the people who are searching for jobs. This is basically technically called as skill gap. Is it okay? This is called as a skill gap. Right? So in case of India, there is a huge presence of skill gap. A lot of people are trained, a lot of people are skilled, a lot of people have degrees. They might have the right educational qualification, but the problem is with the kind of skill sets that are demanded or needed in the market. And in recent times, there is one more trend that has started, not just in India, but also in other countries. You want to get a job? Doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, doesn't matter. Are you able to adopt to the AI tools? Are you able to use the AI tools in streamlining the work, in improving the efficiency of the work, etc., etc.? That is one kind of a skill sets that is again now being demanded by the employers, which or whose trend is actually increasing. Everybody is able to understand. So these are some of the issues, some of the problems which are historically present in case of India, which are traditionally the problems. But the article simply says same kind of issues are plaguing the participation of Gen Z within the labor market in India. Of course, some data has been provided, but I don't think so that particular data. For example, among Gen Z females, 27% are engaged in domestic duties only compared with 0.3% of males. You might memorize it, but by the time you write the exam, maybe next year in the mains or a year after that in the mains examination, the data would be different. And moreover, it is very difficult for you to remember even the minutest of the data that is given in all the articles. Done? Right? So these are some of the issues. Now, what is the solution then? We have understood the issues. What is the solution? What is the way forward? The argument of the writers in the article is whenever the problems with the labor market are discussed in India, we discuss these particular issues as if one is not related to another, as if all of these are independent of each other. What is required is a whole approach where we have to treat all of them as interdependent, and that's a fact, by the way. And we will have to frame right effective policies, because the argument is on one side the government of India is implementing reforms to promote growth in India, reforms to promote industrialization in India. But at the same point of time, if you do not have quality labor, skilled labor, participation of women in the market, yes, you might achieve GDP growth rate, but this kind of a growth rate will not be inclusive, will not be essentially covering all the stakeholders in the economy, will not lead to reduction of poverty, may not lead to the right kind of development in India. So what has to be done? Labor intensive sectors have to be promoted more and more. In fact, government of India is doing this, by the way. For example, labor intensive example, textile sector, gems and jewelries. These are very important for government of India in terms of manufacturing activity as well as export potential. So government of India is actually promoting textiles in India, but recommendation is more has to be done, more reforms have to be implemented. There is a need to develop a stronger school to work pathways. School to pathways, what is the meaning of it? In many of the countries, when the education is imparted, occasional training is part and parcel of it. In fact, this is there as a part of National Education Policy 2020. So, in many of these particular industrialized nations, one of the ways they are able to ensure that the people, or let's say the children, over a period of time, they will keep on acquiring vocational training skill sets, and by the time they come out of the colleges, they will be sufficiently equipped with the skill sets. That has to be ensured in India. Link training more closely to the employer's requirements. You're providing the training, you're providing the skill sets. That has to be done taking into consideration what is the demand in the market. In fact, I'll tell you one policy that has been implemented by the government in this particular regard. Pradhana Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Pradhana Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Under this, the government simply says, we are going to first estimate the demand for the skill sets at the district level and then impart these particular skill sets under vocational training, making it easier for women to enter as well as remain in paid work, apprenticeships, etc. Right? So these are some of the recommendations that have been provided by the writers in this particular article. Everybody is okay? Right? So based on this, here is a question. Please look at the question, solve it, and give me the answer very quickly. Consider the following statements. Periodic labor force survey is published monthly, quarterly, and for a year. PLFS is published by Ministry of Labor. Under the current weekly status, a person is considered employed only when he or she has worked for over a day in preceding 7 days. How many of the three statements are correct? A lot of you will be able to solve the first and second question. Then you will simply say, sir, third statement. Third statement is out of syllabus. Third statement you have not discussed. And this is exactly what the UPSC will do. Let's start. Anushka Singh says option B. Okay. Shamsli Sidhu, option B. Avantika Pandey, B. Rocky Vagela, A. Okay, very interesting usernames, by the way. Soumya, option C. Okay, let's start. The periodic labor force survey is published monthly, quarterly, and for a year. This is correct. Second one, PLFS is published by Ministry of Labor. This is incorrect. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Under the current weekly status, CW, yes. A person is considered employed only when he or she has worked for over a day in preceding 7 days. This particular statement is incorrect. It is incorrect. A lot of you have chosen option B, by the way. The third statement is incorrect. And many of you have not given the answer so far. You are waiting for divine intervention. Is it? A lot of you are waiting for divine intervention. Sir, I'll get the answer directly from the satellite in the examination hall. So third statement is incorrect because the argument is current weekly status will classify a person whether employed or unemployed, whether the person has worked for at least 1 hour. At least 1 hour in the last 7 days, not 1 day. Okay. So right option for the question will be option A. Only one of the statement is correct. Now, there is also a question for you to practice means answer writing. India's demographic dividend may turn into a demographic liability unless adequate employment opportunities are created. Discuss in the context of employment challenges faced by Generation Z. right? So the answer you're supposed to write in 250 words. It's a 15 marker question. Please attempt mains answer writing. Now here is one homework for all of you. Is everybody okay with the homework? Let me take you back to school system, back to school days. Here is a homework. This is an article which has come in Business Line. Very nice article, by the way. If you have followed the discussion, I know some of you will be having this kind of a complaint. Sir, you started with participation problems of women in the labor market. Beyond 1 or 2 points, you did not discuss it comprehensively. I know that. The reason why I have not done that is I want you people to read this article. I want you people to read this article. And based on your understanding of this article, because this article discusses what are the problems that are faced by women population in India in order to participate in the labor market. Some important data has been provided, certain issues have been discussed. It's an editorial from the Business Line. All you need to do is download the PPT. It will be there in the PPT, by the way. Download the PPT, read the article, and then attempt this particular question. I've given two questions, both are almost the same. Why is increasing women's labor force participation essential for achieving inclusive economic growth in India? Second one, India's demographic dividend can be realized only if women participate fully in the workforce. Please download this particular article, read the article. Anushka Singh says, Sir, I'm not able to see anything properly. That is, my dear, I've pasted half a page in a PPT slide. Download it, zoom it. Right? Download it and then zoom it. Now, are you able to read? Similarly, at the higher education level, female GER increased from 30, so on and so forth. So please download it. You will not be able to read it in this particular, right? Let's say the slide right now. Download it and read it. It's a full page article. So obviously, when you compress the size, you will not be able to see it clearly. Okay. Please attempt this particular answer writing exercise. It's a homework for you. It's a homework. Please download it and do the homework. Next article, much more than Melbourne meets Modi. Very recently, the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, visited Australia as a part of three-nation tour. Certain important points have been discussed in this editorial article or the op-ed article, right, regarding the visit of PM Modi to Australia. Now, there were 18 agreements. Please understand, there were 18 agreements or 18 outcomes during this particular visit. Should you remember all the 18 outcomes? That will become very difficult for you to remember. I hope you understand it is very difficult. And no, I'm not challenging anybody regarding their, right, let's say capacity to mug up or memorize. You don't have to memorize 18. What are the important areas to focus? Whenever these kind of visits are done, agreements are signed, outcomes are achieved, look into these particular broader headings. One is there any achievement or an outcome in the context of security? Any kind of an outcome in the context of security? Any kind of an outcome under the heading of trade? Any kind of outcome under the heading of, right, let's say the other areas such as, right, migration of the population, right, or cooperation, etc., etc. Now, when you look into these particular, let's say, under these particular lenses, all these 18 agreements or 18 outcomes, what are the important outcomes that you will have to focus? First and foremost, both India and Australia are part of Quad grouping. And in very recent times, there has been a lot of concern in both of these particular countries in terms of, let's say, stability or peace in this particular region. Stability of or peace in this particular region, that is, I'm talking about Indo-Pacific region. And on the other side, there is, right, let's say, all-weather friendly country for both of these countries, China. So whenever India tries to have better relations with other countries such as Japan, or for that matter, South Korea, China will give a statement that we are announcing policies which are destabilizing in nature or which are targeting China. when Australia will try to sign a trade agreement or let's say defense cooperation agreements with other countries, same statements are given by China. So when you look at the presence of these particular countries in the current context, one is the security angle, right? So that is the reason why the recent agreement or let's say the recent outcome becomes very important. What is the outcome? The summation is a new joint declaration on defense and security cooperation that will promote more coordination, more cooperation amongst these two countries has been arrived at. And this is important for a simple reason. Both of these particular countries earlier, both of these particular countries earlier had come out with a joint declaration on security. Joint declaration on security. And this particular agreement or the joint declaration on security was announced back in the year 2009. So it is basically revamping or further promotion of the earlier joint declaration. And not just this, both of these countries also have a trade agreement, have signed a trade agreement. In fact, very recently, that is starting this year, the Australian government, I was about to say USA government, Australian government has announced that 100% of the products which are covered under the trade agreement with India, they will get, right, let's say tariff benefits which will enter into Australian market. And as a reciprocity, a lot of products which are exported from Australia into India, there is a tariff benefit announced by Government of India as well. As a further outcome, basically continuation of improved trade relations between both of these countries, there is one entity in Australia which has promised to invest huge sum of money in India. That is Australian Super. It's a pension fund. I'll go back to previous slide. Don't worry. Australian Super has announced that they would be investing $500 million, that is more than 3,000 crore rupees, into India's National Investment and Infrastructure Fund Limited. That is, please understand, there is a semi-sovereign fund. Semi-sovereign, I'm using the term because please understand, you must have heard of the term sovereign wealth funds. Sovereign wealth funds. The sovereign wealth funds such as Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, these are generally 100% owned by the government. So government will set up a fund, money will be put into this, and this money will be invested in different infrastructure projects. Does the government of India have a completely owned and operational sovereign wealth fund as of now? No, we do not have it. That is completely owned. That's a keyword. We have NIIF, National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. But in this, Government of India does not have complete ownership. Is it okay? The Government of India does not have the complete ownership. 49% is owned by the government, remaining is owned by important foreign as well as domestic institutional investors. So this Australian Super, the largest pension fund from Australia, has announced that they will be infusing capital worth 3,360 crore rupees into NIIF. In addition to this, next important area regarding, right, let's say the energy security. Another important area regarding energy security, Australia has finally agreed to supply uranium to India. Please understand this. This was there in the newspaper. I'm pretty sure a lot of you heard of it. In fact, today in Indian Express, there is an article on this as well. There is a further elaboration on what is the importance of this particular uranium agreement. Historically, when you see the group of countries who have signed NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT countries, Australia is one of them, by the way. They do not supply uranium to the countries which are outside the NPT. India has not signed NPT. India doesn't want to become a member of NPT because one of the grievances that India has is NPT recognizes only some of the countries which have conducted nuclear tests before 1970s. India simply says we are not okay with this. We are not part of, hence will not be joining NPT. Then everybody is okay. But for the first time, NPT issued a clean waiver back in the year 2008. Back in the year 2008, NPT issued a clean waiver to India. As a result of this, India has been able to import uranium from many countries. Very recently, that is this year itself, India has basically operationalized or signed uranium supply agreement with Kazakhstan. We have such agreement even with Canada. Now we have signed this particular agreement, and by the way, this agreement was already, that is nuclear agreement, civilian nuclear agreement was signed between India and Australia back in 2015. But because of certain differences of opinion, until now, Australia had not agreed to supply uranium to India. Now, according to the latest announcement, although the details are not available, uranium will be supplied to India, but please understand this has to be used for civilian purposes only. Is it okay? It has to be used for civilian purposes only. Done. In addition to this, there is also a partnership agreement to promote cyber critical technologies, supply chain materials, etc. For example, very often both of these particular countries face issues because some other countries, such as let's say China or for that matter USA, will try to target these countries, will try to disrupt the supply of important critical minerals, raw materials, etc. etc. So there are a lot of these kind of, let's say, agreements or let's say the outcomes that have been signed between both of the countries. In addition to this, one more very important area, that is basically on humanity, that is migration of population, etc. India has a huge number of people who are residing in Australia, that is Indian diaspora. The presence of India's diaspora in Australia is very, very high. A lot of these people go to Australia in search of better quality jobs, right, for better education, etc. Now, 8 Australian universities have undertaken to open their university facilities, that is campuses in India itself. This is one more very important outcomes that you need to remember. Done. So these are the important points. Again, I'm saying you will not be able to remember all the 18, but at least 4 to 5 headings you remember and write the points under these particular headings themselves. Okay. Now, based on this, here is an MCQ. Difficult if you don't know the concept of NIIF. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding NIIF. It is completely owned by the union government. It is registered as an alternative investment fund under Reserve Bank of India. It aims to catalyze investments in the greenfield projects, and the brownfield projects are out of its purview. Please attempt it. Let's see how many of you will be able to give the correct answer. Please attempt it and give me the correct answer very, very quickly before I start discussing. No answer so far. Nobody has given the correct answer so far, or for that matter, any answer so far. Okay. Soumya says option D. Others? Anushka Singh, option D. Option D. Okay. One person says option B. One more person says only one of the statement is correct. Okay, let's start. It is completely owned by the union government. This is incorrect. Government of India does not have the complete ownership. It is registered as alternative investment fund under RBI. Please understand, alternative investment funds are regulated under SEBI, not under Reserve Bank of India. It aims to catalyze investments in the greenfield projects, and the brownfield projects are out of its coverage. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. Greenfield basically means those particular projects which are started from the scratch. Brownfield means existing. So the NIIF will cover both greenfield as well as brownfield projects. So all the three statements are incorrect. Right option, as most of you have given already, is the option D. Now, I've given 2 articles in a single page. Both are editorial articles, by the way. Why have I given it in a single page? Simple. Yesterday, those who have not attended yesterday's session, you can have a look at it. Yesterday, we have had a detailed discussion regarding India, UK at ECTA. We've had a detailed discussion. There is certain update, certain other points which are mentioned in the article. I'll be discussing only 1 or 2 points. Second, right, there is also one more editorial regarding Vikram 1. Yesterday, we have had a detailed discussion on Vikram 1 as well. In fact, we expanded the discussion to cover important policies of the government of India in recent times to promote private sector participation in the space sector. Everybody is okay? So you don't have to understand these articles in detail again. If you are yet to watch yesterday's video, go watch the video, right, and come back to these two articles. Now, what is the update regarding India UK ECTA? Yesterday, I gave a question for you to practice mains answer writing. What was the question? In a nutshell, I had asked you to discuss the factors why India is not able to get the benefits from the free trade agreements that it has signed. India has signed multiple PTS, preferential trade agreements, as well as free trade agreements. But when you evaluate what has been the total outcome because of these particular trade agreements, the result simply says the other party, that is the other side of the trade agreement, those countries are able to leverage the trade agreements in a much better way compared to India. I'd asked you to discuss the reasons behind it. Some of these particular reasons have been discussed in the article. Some of the reasons are discussed in the article. What are the reasons? In a nutshell, listen to me very carefully. In case of India, whenever we talk about manufacturing sector, whenever you talk about manufacturing, production, exports, imports, the focus of exports from India is on low value products. It is on low value products. For example, textiles. On the other side, when you talk about imports, India imports a lot of high value products. It imports a lot of high value products. Example, semiconductor, artificial intelligence, critical minerals, etc. So argument is we should focus on the production of high value goods, supply them to the global market. Only then, not just right the leveraging of the free trade agreement, your overall exports will also improve. This is one point. Second, there is a term that is mentioned in this, global value chain production. GVC, global value chain production. What is this idea of a GVC? It basically talks about having a production or the final output, but the activities of the production are spread across multiple countries. Is it okay? According to World Bank, it simply says whenever the production activities are spread in more than two countries for a particular product, we call this as a global value chain. For example, you want to manufacture a car. The steel for car will be produced in one country. The engine will be produced in another country. The plastic that is needed will be produced in another country. Leather will be produced in another country. Spare parts will be produced in the fifth country. Assembling will happen in a sixth country. This is a classic example of a global value chain. India's participation in the global value chain is very low. Remember this. India's participation in the global value chain is very, very low. That is one of the reasons why we generally are not able to leverage the trade agreements, why our exports are not increasing, right, let's say, compared to the imports. Right? That is basically having a trade surplus rather than having a trade deficit. Done? That is the second important reason. Third important reason. The third very important reason is basically the availability of skilled labor. Availability of skilled labor in India. Of course, yes, there are certain industries, there are certain parts in the economy where we have excess skilled labor. I'll give you a simple example, semiconductor. Semiconductor. In case of semiconductor, India is said to have one of the largest populations of the skilled labor that is actually required for the industry. But when you look at other areas, other industries, availability of skilled labor is very less. And the fourth point which has been mentioned in the article, why we generally are not able to get the benefits of the trade agreements is because of awareness. Awareness and compliance. Awareness and compliance. Right? What do I mean by awareness? MSMEs account for more than 1/3 of total production in India. They account for more than 1/4 of exports from India. A lot of these particular MSMEs are not aware of what kind of trade agreements are being signed. If they are aware of, they don't know how to get the benefits. Even if they know how to get the benefits, they find it very difficult to get the compliance done. Compliance in the sense, imagine I want to export something to UK. I will have to get a certificate. But for me to get that particular certificate, I'll have to pay certain charges. I'll have to get the quality testing done, etc. That is a compliance burden. A lot of times, because the compliance burden becomes higher, whatever benefits you might get from the trade agreement, it will get eliminated. It will get negated. That is the reason exports will not be high, even though there is a trade agreement. So everybody is okay. So these are some of the points which are mentioned in the article. Apart from this, everything else is same as we had discussed in the yesterday session. Next, Vikram 1. What is update regarding Vikram 1? The only point from this article that we have not covered in yesterday's session is regarding the commercial viability. It is simply regarding the commercial viability. Yesterday we discussed Vikram 1 is the first private sector, right, let's say developed rocket launcher in India, successfully testified, etc., etc. We have seen, right, let's say the specialty of it, that is 3D developed engine, right, carbon, right, let's say carbon usaged or used carbon we have used to, right, develop this particular engine, etc. So the rocket launcher. So we have seen the specialities, but what is the concern regarding this? Concern is simple. There are multiple private sector companies which have, right, basically grown in China as well as in USA. And these particular, right, for example, SpaceX, these private sector companies already have occupied the market. And the market is not growing at the pace it was expected. And in case of India, this private sector company now will have to compete with ISRO. ISRO is already providing, right, let's say commercial space flights now. So argument is, will this particular model be commercially viable? Will this model, will it be commercially viable? Because you can have a very good business model, but if you're not able to generate sufficient amount of revenues, the business model will not be viable. There will come a point of time, because you're not able to sustain the day-to-day expenditures, you're not able to upgrade with higher capex, etc. The whole business model will crumble. The whole business model will collapse. So questions are regarding commercial viability of this particular entity going forward. Done? Everybody is okay with this? So these are the simple updates. In addition to yesterday, whatever we have discussed, have this information. Let's move forward now. Ken Betwa River Link. Right? So police clear the protest against Ken Betwa other projects in Madhya Pradesh. There was, right, basically a protest that was happening against the Inter River Linking Project, ILP, Inter Linking River Projects. According to the policy that has been announced by the government, there are 30 projects which are identified, and where the government of India is basically promoting the idea of interlinking of rivers. The objective is very simple. You want to take surplus water that is present in one river, supply to another river where there's a deficit. And with this, on one side where there's a surplus, there could be flooding activity. On the other side, in the other river where there is a deficit, because of that, the, right, let's say regions might be experiencing drought. The farmers may not have sufficient access to irrigation activity. It will have a direct impact on economic activity in those particular regions where there is a river but there is a deficit water. So government basically promotes the idea of river linking like this, inter-river linking. Totally 30 projects have been identified, Himalayan rivers as well as peninsular rivers. Now, one of the first project under this is basically Ken Betwa Link project. The first project which was launched under this is the Ken Betwa Link project. This is the first river linking project. There has been a protest against this particular project. What are the reasons? Reasons for the protest is very simple. The protesters are simply saying certain tribal population, around 2,000 families will be displaced because you're constructing a dam here. You're constructing a dam, as a result of which around 2,000 plus tribal families will be displaced. The allegations are that the Grama Sabha, right, the Gram Sabha discussions that have to happen, the meetings that have to take place, etc., these have not been conducted. False data has been submitted by the government officials. And the people who have given the consent for the development of this particular project, because their land is being acquired now, Most of these particular people were not even residing in this region. They have already moved out in the past. Now, to just to meet the numbers that the government officials will require to acquire this particular land, they have taken the consent from those people who are not even residing in the region. And the promises that were made in terms of, let's say, compensation, etc., these particular promises have not been met correctly. So, citing these particular reasons, there have been protests in the region. Finally, yesterday, the government, Madhya Pradesh authorities, police personnel have basically cleared this particular site. They have moved the protesters. The argument that has been given by the local administration is there has been continuous rainfall in the region, and because the people are protesting on the banks of the river like this or the river flow, there's a danger, right? The river water in the river might rise. There's a danger to the lives of the people. Hence, these particular people have been cleared from the protest site. Everybody is okay? So this is an update regarding the first river linkage project in India. Please take up this particular update. Consider the following statements regarding interlinking of rivers program. It covers 30 ILR projects. ILR is basically interlinking of rivers. It covers 30 ILR projects of Himalayan rivers. National Water Development Agency is the nodal authority for this particular program. And third statement, Ken Betwa Link Project is the first interlinking initiative under the National Perspective Plan, NPP. How many of the statements are correct? It covers 30 ILR projects of Himalayan rivers. This particular statement is incorrect. It is not completely accurate because it covers Himalayan rivers as well as peninsular rivers. Himalayan rivers as well as peninsular rivers. In fact, out of 30, there are 14 projects which are Himalayan rivers and 16 ILP projects covering the peninsular rivers. Okay, so first statement is incorrect. National Water Development Agency is the nodal authority for this particular program. Yes, this statement is correct. Ken Betwa Link Project is the first interlinking initiative under the National Perspective Plan. Yes, the statement is correct. First one is incorrect. Second and third are correct. Right option is option B. Only two of the statements are correct. Okay, somebody is asking from where can we download the PPT? Right, after the class is over, go to the description box of the video. There will be a link provided. But please understand, it will take some time for us to upload the annotated PPT on the let's say link that is provided. Have patience, you'll be able to download. Let's go forward. One more basic simple article regarding interlinking of rivers. Bagmati Budi Gandak river linking. Right, this has happened in the state of Bihar. So please make a note of this. 60 kilometer Belwa Minapur link channel has been inaugurated by the Chief Minister. Now this particular channel is associated with one more river linking project, that is Bagmati Budhi Gandak river interlinking project. Done. Under this, the surplus water from the Bagmati river will be diverted to Gandak river. And what is the importance? Like I said earlier, importance will be when you divert the water, or let's say basically set up a dam, etc., you will be able to generate hydroelectricity. When you supply excess water to the deficit river, that side irrigation can be conducted, economic activities will be promoted, the farmers' incomes will be added to, etc., etc. So these are some of the reasons which have been cited by the government to implement one more project here. Next article, electronic gold receipts, a new way to own gold. Under the business page, there's a very big article which has been provided. Let me tell you the important points. Please listen very carefully. Whenever you want to purchase gold, there is a traditional method. You go to the market, purchase physical gold. Correct? You go to the market and purchase gold physically, that is the solid gold. It could be in the form of a bullion. It could be in the form of let's say jewelries. But in addition to this, in recent times, there has been emergence of the financial instruments which represent gold. Right? The financial instruments which represent gold. For example, in the last decade, the government of India launched sovereign gold bond, although they are not issuing the SGBs now because the market prices are very, very high. But in addition to this, there is also one more type of a financial instrument which represents gold, that is called as electronic gold receipts. Now, what are the important points? Please have a look at it. This is the screenshot of the notes that I've done. Don't worry, just listen to the lecture, then you can download and revise it. Electronic gold receipts, first and foremost, have been notified by the Government of India, that is the Ministry of Finance, as a part of the Securities Contracts Regulation Act of 1956, SCRA 1956. What is the importance? Whenever you are identified or notified under SCRA 1956, one, these instruments become eligible for trading in the market. And second, these will come under the regulation of market regulator. In this case, SEBI. It is under the regulation of SEBI. But what is this electronic gold receipt? Let's say I want to invest in gold, 10 milligrams, 100 milligrams, because the lowest is 10, highest is 1 kg. So let's say I want to purchase 10 milligrams of gold. Now I'll purchase an instrument which represents a 10 milligrams. This instrument will be issued to me, but listen to me very carefully. The 10 milligrams, I will not get this physical delivery right now. The one who has issued the electronic gold receipt to me, they will have to purchase a 10 milligram of gold and store it in the vault. Is it okay? Simply store it in the vaults. And these particular vault operators are also regulated by SEBI, by the way. These are also regulated by SEBI. Now I've purchased an instrument which basically represents a 10 milligram of gold. I can trade it. There is a market for this, just like you trade bonds, just like you trade shares, I can trade it. Under BSE, these are tradable. Under NSE also, these are tradable. And the object is very simple. Because we are trading the receipts which represent gold, these receipts prices will also keep on fluctuating according to supply and demand. The prices will be much more transparently decided here, and this will also help establish a market where the gold prices can be determined in India. Done? So these are certain very important features associated with the electronic gold receipt. It was for the first time announced by the government in the budget 21-22, and after this SEBI has given the regulatory approval for the introduction of electronic gold receipts in India. Now, one more very important factor where most of you will be worried about: taxation. Sir, is it taxable? Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Right? It is just like you are holding gold, physical gold, you have invested in the gold, etc. So, is it taxable? When you trade, capital gains will be attracted. At any point of time, another benefit of this is, at any point of time, you want to basically get the physical gold from the vault. You can submit these particular electronic gold receipts which do not have any kind of a maturity period. You will get the physical gold. But it is similar to you purchasing gold in the market. So when you get the physical gold from, let's say, a gold jewelry shop, will there be a GST applicable on it? Of course, yes. Here also, the GST is applicable. Right? So these are certain very important points associated with the electronic gold receipts. Please download the PPT and have a look at the important points that are noted there. So here is a question, MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding electronic gold receipts are regulated by SEBI, are specified under Securities Contracts Regulation Act of 1956, are backed by physical gold, are regulated by SEBI. Yes, these are regulated by SEBI. Are specified under Securities Contracts Regulation Act of 1956. Yes, that is also true. Are backed by physical gold. Yes, that is also equally true. All the three statements are correct. Right option for the question will be option C. Let's move on to the next article. 2 or 3 articles important for art and culture. Shabdalok Museum. Right? Shabdalok Museum. The Minister for MHA and the Ministry of Cooperation is in West Bengal. Right? So there is one very important news that two important news, by the way. First one is the Shabdalok Museum. Shabdalok Museum, other name, the English name for this is the Museum of Word. Museum of Word. In case of India, there is a history associated with the development of, right, literature. the adoption of languages, the usage and the growth of languages. There is a presence of diverse languages in India. Right? So there is a need for a museum which will basically collect all of this particular information, provide all of this information, promote research and development regarding the growth of languages, etc. And that particular work will be done now by Museum of Word or Shabdalok. This is being developed at National Library, that is at Kolkata. Right? This is developed by the nodal authority, or the nodal ministry will be the Union Cultural Ministry or Union Culture Ministry. It is the first immersive language museum in India. It is the first immersive, right, museum for languages in India. Please make a note of this. Okay. It will basically celebrate all the 22 official languages and trace their journey in India, right, from where it has been adopted, how the development of the languages have taken place, right, etc., etc. All of this will be, right, let's say, on display, will be tracked, right. There will be a development as well as the display of all of this in this particular Museum of World. Important, by the way. Okay. Now, in addition to this, I want you people to look at this article as well. Important article. A couple of years ago, there was a discussion regarding NHMC. NHMC basically stands for the National Maritime Heritage Complex. NMHC. Okay. NMHC. National Maritime Heritage Complex. What is the importance of this? The Ministry of Ports, the nodal authority is the Ministry of Ports, by the way. The government of India has set up this particular, right, or has proposed this particular project, one of the largest in the world. This will be by far the largest maritime complex in the world once it becomes operational. Now, why it is there in the news? This was there in today's Indian Express. Please have a look at it. Very soon, a life-size Harappan town will be developed and the visitors will get access to this particular, right, the Harappan town. That is very often in art and culture classes, you will come across, right, what was the Harappan town like, how the market was there, how the houses were constructed, how the trading used to happen, what kind of, let's say, the development of, right, the application of technology, science, etc. was there in the Harappan culture, etc. The government of India wants to develop this particular, right, market, that is near Lothal, very important site, by the way. Near Lothal, they want to develop this particular market and they want this to be, right, developed into a largest complex in the world for maritime. At the same point of time, they want it to develop as a tourist destination or tourism spot. The argument right now, or the objective right now, is that this market will be developed in such a way that you can walk into the market and get the first hand experience of how the market was conducted then, how the markets were, right, located back then, right, what kind of infrastructure was there, etc., etc. So that is expected to become operational very, very soon. It is expected to become operational very, very soon, and that update has been provided in today's Indian Express newspaper. Done? Right, so please remember, the Ministry of Ports, Ministry of Shipping is the nodal authority for this particular project. Because suddenly if somebody will say it is the Ministry of Culture, a lot of you make a mistake and say, yes, it is correct. No, it is the Ministry of Ports and Shipping. Let me go forward. Next article. Government to move bill in Rajya Sabha to make insult to national song a criminal offense. Now, before I start this particular article's discussion, let me ask you one question. And those who will watch the video later can tell me the answer before I tell you the answer further down the line in the discussion. Let's say you're sitting in a movie theater. You're watching a movie, not the beginning, not the end, nothing. You're watching the movie. And in the movie, the national anthem is played. I'll repeat the question. In the movie, the national anthem is played. Is it compulsory for you to stand up? Is there a law? Is there a mandate for you to stand up? Will that be considered as an insult to the national anthem? Do let me know the answer to the question. Okay, now what is the update here? Update is very simple. In the parliamentary session now, the government of India wants to amend one of the sections of the National in the Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act. 1971. Okay, right. I'll repeat the full name of the law: Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act. Right, 1971. Now, this particular provision, right, that is Section 3 of this particular act, the government of India wants to amend and introduce a new provision or add a new provision according to which, if you're going to disrupt, if you are going to insult the national song, national anthem is already there, national flag is there, constitution is there, but with that, now if you're going to insult a national song, the government of India wants to notify this as a criminal offense. This is a proposal as of now. Let's wait and see what kind of discussion will happen and what kind of punishment, if at all different from the existing, will be proposed by the government. Done. Now here is a very interesting update. I asked you a question earlier, right? I asked you a question. If you're sitting in a movie and the national anthem is part of the movie, it is played in the movie, are you supposed to stand up? Can there be any action against you? Will others start shouting at you in the movie, right? Realizing they are also disrupting the playing of the national anthem, but they want you to stand, so they will create, right? Let's say this kind of a issue. The Ministry of Home Affairs, right? Have a look at this. The Ministry of Home Affairs has issued a fresh order on the national song as well as national anthem. According to this particular fresh set of guidelines, if the national song or national anthem is being played and this is part of the movie, right? Not before the movie, part of the movie, then there is no need, all right, or it is not expected that the audience must stand up. This was one of the articles couple of days ago in the Economic Times. I thought, okay, because we are discussing national song, this will be an addition to the knowledge repository that you people have. Okay, couple of more small articles. Omicron RF5 cases. Omicron, right? RF5 cases. Very recently, COVID cases in some of the regions in India have started happening again. There have been certain instances of death as well. Of course, I'm talking about the state of Andhra Pradesh. State of Andhra Pradesh. Around 16 cases of COVID have been detected there. And in certain cases, it has been found that the people with existing severe conditions, existing diseases which are severe, for example, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, etc. Some of the people who contracted COVID, they were not able to come out of, or they were not able to be treated. Right, it was not curable, and they have passed away. Now that has created a cause of concern. Are we going back to the earlier situation of pandemic? Is it, right, let's say, as contagious? Is it more dangerous compared to earlier, right, COVID variety or COVID virus? What is the situation? According to the information that is available right now, the Omicron RF5, please understand, this is not the first instance of this particular virus contracting humans. Earlier, this has been reported in Singapore and other parts of Southeast Asia. Now, this is being reported in Andhra Pradesh. According to the information that is available right now, it is not more dangerous compared to the earlier virus strain that had an impact during COVID period. Having said so, right, having said so, the health experts have warned that people need to be careful, especially the people who are already having certain existing conditions need to be very careful. Please don't panic as of now just because it is there. No need to panic. The instances that are found or the cases that have been found are concentrated in one region of India. Done. So this is an update. What are the, right, let's say, symptoms in this particular new strain? What are the symptoms? The similar to the earlier symptoms, that is sore throat, cough, fever, headache, and body ache. Of course, if you're a UPSC aspirant, by default, these particular or some of these particular symptoms will be there throughout your UPSC preparation stage, especially when you open Indian economy book. You'll start having headache. You'll start having, right, let's say, mild fever. Somebody will have, somebody will start having, sore throat, etc. But that is not the symptom of COVID. That is basically your behavior whenever you look at the subject of Indian economy. That's a different debate altogether. Okay, so the lab where the testing has been done, please remember this, the National Institute of Virology. right, at Pune. This particular lab is located at Pune. Please remember the name of the lab, can be asked in preliminary examination. Now, last article from Hindu newspaper, just a simple factual data point. Like I said earlier, the Minister for Home Affairs, Minister for Cooperation Ministry is present in West Bengal. There is one more plant that was inaugurated yesterday, and that is important for you. Not the other discussion, political discussion, only the plant. What is the importance? Importance is the Union Home Minister, right, inaugurated or laid down the foundation stone for Amul project, a project of Amul in West Bengal. Already Amul company or Amul cooperative has promised thousands of crores of investment in West Bengal going forward. But this project is important because this will be the by far the largest plant in the world for curd production. Please remember this. This will be, right, once developed, will be the largest plant for curd production in the world. Is it okay? Right. So this is the important point. So please make a note of this. Project will house the country's largest curd production plant. Is it okay? So on day-to-day basis, right, more than 10 lakh liters of milk will be processed. That data is not important, but the curd part is important. Okay, some of the factual information updates now. PIB, Press Information Bureau. In the last couple of days, especially last week, this was there in the newspaper, which became a big news as of as such. That is Olympiads, international Olympiads, right? Indians, right? Many of the students coming from India, going from India, have participated in multiple international Olympiads, physics, chemistry, etc. And they have brought laurels to the country by winning medals at these particular Olympiads. Now, what UPSC can do? I know a lot of you will say, but sir, this is very, very outrageous question, improbable question. Be ready for these kind of improbable questions as well. They might ask you, match the following, the Olympiads last year, 58th, this Olympiad, right, 60th, that Olympiad, this Olympiad on one side with the places where they were conducted. Right, 58th International Chemistry Olympiad, it was held in Uzbekistan. Right, the Physics Olympiad 2026, 56th, it was held in Colombia. 37th Biology Olympiad, it was held in Lithuania. Right, so these are the three Olympiads which have been there in the newspaper. In addition to this, what is another point they can ask you is which authority is involved? Any kind of an institution that is involved in training for the Olympiads in India. It is, please remember this, Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education. Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, HBCSE, which functions under the National Center of Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. And this in turn is aided institution under the Department of Atomic Energy. Any of these particular 3 points can be asked in the prelims examination. Very unlikely, but you never know, a difficult question will be prepared like this. Okay, now the last point for today, just factual information. PV Sindhu wins maiden Japan Open title. Important. Award-wise or sports-wise, it is important. Of course, somebody will say, sir, what about World Cup? You have not mentioned the information regarding World Cup winner. It has happened after 12 a.m. You also know the winner. I also know the winner. That will come in tomorrow's Hindu newspaper edition. Anyways, right, so Prime Minister congratulates PV Sindhu on winning Japan Open 2026 title. Why I say this is important, right? Why I'm saying this is important? She has become the first Indian, to win Japan Open title. First Indian to win Japan Open title. Now, I know a lot of you will memorize this particular data point. What UPSC might do is, instead of asking, right, who was the winner of Japan 2026, they will twist the question. That is what they do. They will twist the question and ask you, who was the opponent? Correct? They will ask you, who was the opponent? You memorized PV Sindhu, first Indian, 2026 Japan Open title. They will ask you who was the opponent. Just protect yourself from this kind of question as well. The opponent was Yamaguchi. Akane Yamaguchi. Right? So this was the opponent of PV Sindhu, against which competitor PV Sindhu has become the first Indian to win Japan Open 2026. Done. So these are some of the articles, concepts, outrageous concepts, right? Let's say outrageous factual data that I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. If you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Take care. And just a gentle reminder, friendly reminder, please take up the homework. Right, take care. Have a great day.